Han Bin reports.
China's military has new missions with diversified tasks. The People's Liberation Army is speeding up its modernization with high-tech weaponry and information technology. It has also increased regular blue water training while expanding participation in international escort missions and peacekeeping. This latest defense white paper provides a more detailed account of the building and development of today's PLA.
This is the 8th defense paper since 1998 and the first one devoted to one subject. It highlights the main theme and provides a systematic introduction to the missions, tasks, and employment of the armed forces.
The white paper makes clear the priorities for China's armed forces. The army is moving towards greater mobility with multidimensional operations. The focus is on Army aviation troops, light mechanized units, and special operational forces. The Navy is strengthening blue water operations with real combat capabilities. The emphasis is on advanced vessels, submarines, and electronic systems. The Air Force is developing a combat force structure with development in reconnaissance, air strike, and air and missile defense, while its strategic nuclear force is pushing the transformation towards information technology. Professor Chen Zhou is one of the experts involved in writing the document. He says the white paper reflects the new characteristics of China's armed forces in a changing world.
The paper illustrates the relations between peaceful development and building a strong army. China will stick to its defensive national policy, while at the same time, it is a strategic task of China's modernization drive, as well as a strong guarantee for China's peaceful development to build a strong army.
The white paper comes 4 months after the new leadership took power. During the latest inspection, President Xi Jinping called on soldiers to integrate their personal goals with the aim of building a strong army and stressed the need to be able to fight and to win the battle. Leaders in Beijing believe China faces complicated and diverse security challenges in protecting its sovereignty. Its military needs to strengthen its role to better protect the core interests. Unlike previous white papers, which gave a general overview of China's national defense, this latest version focuses on the strength and the status of China's armed forces. And for the first time, the PLA has disclosed the names of the Joint Corps of the Army. The increase in transparency comes as part of the efforts from the PLA to show that it can be a responsible player on world stage. Han Bin, CCTV.
Now, reporter Han Bin is joining us now in the studio for more on the white paper on national defense. Hello there, Han Bin. First of all, tell us what's new in this paper compared with the previous ones?
Well, I think on the one hand, this paper shows the growing transparency of the PLA in its integration with the world. For the first time, it discloses the total strength of the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, since that's about 1.5 million. It also discloses the Army's 18 combined corps, composed of divisions and brigades, all under the 7 military area commands. And some of the latest weaponry is written into the paper, including China's first aircraft carrier, the Dongfeng ballistic missile series, the Changjian cruise missiles, and so on. On the other hand, I think there isn't much new information. That's part of the reason this paper focuses on one theme, the current strength and military thinking of the PLA. The continuity of the defense policy is clearer than before. The paper does mention something new in terms of military build-up. It stresses the armed forces should remain vigilant in training in real combat, and there are the new roles of the Navy in protecting the maritime sovereignty. Well, the paper says China will carry out nuclear counterattacks and precision strikes with conventional missiles. It stresses that China will keep its defensive policy, but in an active manner, and this means the PLA is ready to fight back when attacked.
Indeed, this is the first white paper since the new leadership took office. Is this reflected in the strategic thinking?
Well, I think the paper reflects the latest strategic thinking of the leadership in building a stronger army. The first chapter we see the introductions about China's thinkings on the security challenges in its changing world. It says China is facing the traditional and non-traditional security challenges, and some neighboring countries have taken provocative actions to challenge its sovereignty, and others are seeking military alliances to destabilize the regional peace. And also confrontation in cyberspace and space has intensified. And these have reinforced the new leadership's determination to build a strong army. For example, the Navy is speeding up its modernization process in an introduction of an aircraft carrier to develop into a maritime power. The Navy has also gone beyond the first island chain, testing its combat strength in the West Pacific. The white paper says the Navy has deployed over 90 ships in nearly 20 groups in distant waters over the past few years. So above all, the new white paper shows the growing confidence of the PLA in its modernization process and the direction of the deployment and development. Tony.
Thank you very much, Han Bin, for the introduction. Now, for more insights on this white paper, we're now joined in the studio by Senior Captain Zhang Junshe. He's the Vice President of the Naval Research Institute. Welcome to our program, Mr. Zhang. Well, the white paper has been released, and it's the first time for the new leadership to release the military white paper. What's your take on the adjustments of the military strategy that has been signaled in the white paper?
Well, the new defense white paper issued today by the Chinese government is also the first since the new Chinese leadership took office. I think there are some highlights, the new sentences and phrases in this white paper. And this reflects the strategic thinking of the new leadership to build a strong military. We notice that although the paper states that the Chinese military still pursues a national defense strategy and policy which is defensive in nature, and also implements active defense military strategy and offshore defense naval strategy. The new paper uses some new phrases. For example, the blue water capabilities of conducting mobile operations. I think this means the new leadership, the Chinese military, attaches great importance to the PL Navy's blue water capabilities of conducting mobile operations, carrying out international cooperation, and countering non-traditional security threats. I think that's because China is becoming more and more dependent on oil and gas and other energy resources that is imported from abroad. And the Chinese Navy has to improve its capabilities to protect these sea lanes leading to China. So one of the examples is the escort and anti-piracy operations the Chinese PL Navy is conducting in the waters of Somalia and the Gulf of Aden.
And according to the white paper, China will prepare for all possible nuclear threats and will certainly strike back. Meanwhile, the situation, as we all know, on the Korean Peninsula is quite complex there. What do you think of the timing of releasing such a statement?
Oh, well, I think the situation on the Korean Peninsula is attracting the attention of the whole world. And the whole world is also watching what the Chinese will do in front of this crisis. I think China still advocates denuclearization on the peninsula. We are firmly opposed to the use of and development of any nuclear weapons on the peninsula. And I think this white paper just states or stresses the nuclear policy of China. That is, will never use nuclear weapons first. And I think China is the first among the 5 nuclear powers that possess nuclear weapons that has declared that will never use nuclear weapons first and will never use nuclear weapons in nuclear-free zones and will never use weapons against countries that don't possess nuclear weapons. But the outside world shouldn't misunderstand China's stance. The Chinese military will definitely make counterattack if we are attacked by other countries using nuclear weapons. We will launch the same nuclear attack against those who dare to launch nuclear attacks on Earth.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Senior Captain Zhang Junshe, Vice President of the Naval Research Institute.